Good evening, and this is a new episode of Education Exchange, your favorite program all over the TV channels. Tonight is a really very good time for you to see who are behind this wonderful show that has been running now for more than 20 years, and how do we make it, the story. Because I see people at the grocery store, at the street, they stop me, they thought, "Oh, honey, I love your show." It's not my show. Behind the curtains and behind the doors, there are a lot of people. Some of them are known to the community because they have been here for years and years and years. Like my guests that you see on my right-hand side here, the veteran teacher, educator, artist, producer, director, Mike Petersen, who was sitting in my place here many times years ago, and now he prefers to be sitting behind the glass door, joining Mr. John Karhoff, the godfather and the big guy of this show. Right?
And and if I can say, the main reason I'm in the back is to make it a better looking show.
Is that why you
that's why I sit back in the control room now.
The guy with the beard and the big. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
So anyway, so this is a family now conversation, and I would like our audience, because I get a lot of questions. Do you prepare for that? Why do you select this particular school? How do you get to prepare the production meeting with them and so on?
All the background stuff.
Yeah, so let me go a little quick to the history of the show.
Well, it probably started, I think this is about our 20th year. John Karhoff, the fellow that usually is never seen, he's always back in the control room, is the one that started it. I think I came in about the second or third show, somewhere in there.
So are you telling me that John Karhoff has never been on the camera?
I mean, not as an official guest. I think in the very early shows, he might have opened up some shows, but it was taped previously, not necessarily in the studio. But typically, he's sitting back in the control room and generally making faces or something.
Like he's doing now.
Yeah, just like that. But we've been doing this. Like I said, he started it out. I guess when he first started here, he moved to Iowa City and became an associate in the school district because he couldn't get a teaching position at that time. There wasn't one open, but he had moved back here for family in this local area. And at that same time, then he started this. He was doing a similar thing in Arizona from when he had taught there.
That was after his service in the Middle East, right?
Yes,
because he has been all around the world. Right?
Yes, he had been to the Middle East, and he took off during about the middle of this. He took off for a couple of years and went to Japan, and then I kind of ran it during his absence. Then he moved back here, and has been doing this again ever since he got back.
He speaks Arabic. Does he speak Japanese too?
That I don't know. Probably since he lived there, I'm sure he's enough to get by. You know, I mean, if you live someplace, you pretty much have to pick up some of the language so that you can get along just in normal situations. So, but that I don't know. He doesn't. I know he doesn't speak any Japanese back in the control room. So, or maybe he does, and I'm just not listening. I don't know. But anyway, that's kind of the history of it in a nutshell. So it's been about a 20-year program that we've been doing this. It's either 19 or 20 years now. I think it's maybe about the 20th.
So I know very well that the program started with Bob Growy as
when she was the superintendent,
and then it continued with Lynn Pluggy as a superintendent,
yes.
And now with Dr. Merle as a superintendent.
Yes.
So, but the style, I mean, we work closely with the superintendent, the three of us, right?
Yes. Actually, you probably do more than, especially now in this incarnation of it, the last couple years since you've been the host. You are much more directly involved than our previous hostesses and hosts were. They would usually just come in, we'd have everything all set up. For a short period of time, for a few years, there was a volunteer coordinator that was Julie Johnston, who was an excellent help with this show. And she helped organize a lot of things and stuff, but typically it's been either through John or I, mostly John, I would really say. But now, the last couple of years, you've taken that, and which is a great thing because it's much more organized lately.
And before we came inside the studio, you were talking about how important this show for the school and for the community to know about the activities
Yeah.
of our education service.
And actually, one of the things is this community itself has so many opportunities with public access television. They've got so many channels. The school has a channel, the senior center has a channel, the government has a channel. I can't remember now how many, 6 or 7 of them. PATV is the one that we are on, and which I think is fantastic in that anybody can come in and be a producer and create a show. And that's kind of what this show was designed for, was our view was to give a take on the Iowa City School District. You know, and like I said before, I think this is a perfect opportunity for every school to do PR for their building or for their programs. You know, at the senior high, junior highs, each department could come in and have a half hour to, you know, brag about what they're doing, because there are so many wonderful things going on in the school district. And typically, what most people hear is when there's a problem or when someone doesn't like something, because that's the people that typically write to the paper, you know, do that kind of thing. And so I think this is just a fantastic avenue to get out the good things, and that's kind of what it was designed for. Tell about the good things that are going on in the schools. And so each school has an opportunity, and multiple opportunities. There are some schools that have been on multiple times this year. Some years, I know City High had probably half of the shows one year, and you know, it just highlights the things that are going on there. I think it's just a fantastic opportunity.
What I know, I haven't been so frustrated working as volunteer here, volunteer host, but sometimes I feel that we are all frustrated. Can you mention why this happens?
Well, as I said, every school has an opportunity to be on here, and it is just like pretty much everything at PATV. Everything is a volunteer. We've had many different hosts. We've had many different people that have worked cameras. We've had and they're all volunteers.
And editing,
the whole works, and in the control room and everything, and it's sometimes gets frustrating when you're here ready to go and someone doesn't show up, a school doesn't show up, or the people that were supposed to be here, maybe because they forgot, or sometimes they just didn't think they were prepared. Yeah.
Or emergency.
Yeah. And there are times, you know, but then there are times that it is an emergency arises and they can't make it or something happens. But there are times when I think it's just kind of left to the background, and they just kind of, it'd be nice to know, you know, when you have volunteers here waiting to do a show and then you don't know and people don't show, it's kind of frustrating.
And I know that Dr. Steve Merrily has made it very clear to the principals and administrators in the first meeting they had this year that it's important for them to collaborate with our team here. And of course, because of the fact that we have all these projects coming, and one project comes from inside another project, and it's just this kaleidoscoping thing that's happening.
And all of those affect the whole community too.
Exactly.
You know,
yeah.
so and so I think it's important that a lot of those things, we have a venue for this, to talk about them.
Some of the questions that I have for you here from one of the audience sent me a question about the sound, that sometimes the sound is not coming. Is it our responsibility here, or it's a MediaCom, or what?
Well, most of the time, this is sometimes we have equipment problems. As you well know, one of the last shows we just did, we were having computer problems, so it took a long time to get that show started. But sometimes it is equipment problems with the sound coming through. Sometimes it could be that it's through YouTube or through MediaCom or something that it's just not getting through. But I would typically say, you know, I don't know. I don't know which would be more typical.
Another question from another audience. I think she was a student in the district here, and she's now a mother, parent. And she mentioned that you are an artist, and John is an artist, and she claims that I'm an artist. So
everybody's seen your artwork in the paper, so they know you're an artist.
But here's the situation. Tell me about your art. Well, at least I have the chance to show that. But you and John is a very kind of low-profile person, down to earth, doesn't want to talk about his art. And I know he is a phenomenal artist.
And we'll see some of that later.
We will see.
Yeah. Whether he likes it or not, we're gonna.
Of course, now we have the microphone, so he cannot do much.
That's right.
Anyway, but tell me about your art, and in your family too. Your kids are very good artists too.
Yes, actually, especially in the drawing, painting.
Right.
One of my stepdaughters is right now painting. It's a beautiful picture that she's giving to her grandmother for her 90th birthday.
Is that Alyssa?
No, this is Nikki.
Nikki, the tattoo artist, the famous tattoo artist.
Yes.
Okay.
And her artwork's just been getting better and better. Of course, that's what she does for a living now. But she has some. Well, we have some of her artwork as well as Alyssa's framed in that home.
I was visiting Tate High recently. I went to this social studies room, and I kind of found I was impressed because the painting on the wall that Tara keeps is by Alyssa, who had graduated years ago. And she said, this is a joy to have this painting in front of me.
Yep, and Alyssa also was part of the murals.
Oh, yeah.
That actually a few shows ago we talked about with the people from Tate that they're going to be doing another one too.
Right.
Again, another aspect of the schools that, you know, all of this should be shared.
With the community.
Yeah.